Hi, Greg. Hello. Good morning, everybody. Ooh, that feels good. Good morning, good morning. Good morning. Good morning, good morning. So, I go to Starbucks and I go through the drive-thru, and my sweet Melody in Cahaba Heights, at the Cahaba Heights Starbucks, you know, their lobby is closed, and she takes such good care of all the customers at Starbucks. She makes sure that no one is touching lids, stoppers. She's just so organized there. I'm so grateful that the people in my immediate community are taking this virus so seriously. There is a family from our hometown in Freehold that we went to high school with who is struggling unimaginably. 7 members of their family are infected with the coronavirus. 3 have died. I'm sure you've seen the articles all over CNN and People Magazine and New York Times. It is heartbreaking to think of what people are going through from this virus. And they contracted the virus before, we were really, mandated to keep social distancing and all of those things. So I have added the Fusco family to my prayer list. I ask that you do the same. They lost 1 brother, 1 sister, now their mother, and there are still other members of their family fighting for their lives in the ICU. This virus is not a joke. It is a fucking nightmare, if I'm being honest. It is a disruptor, and I get that we want to all stay positive and think, what could the universe, God, whatever, be trying to teach us? Slow down. We're in a timeout. I believe in that. I believe that we are meant to reconnect with those around us and pour into our families. But people are fucking dying. And I get, and don't people die of the flu every year to me? Because seriously, I'll lose my mind. I'm not kidding. I know people die from the flu. They die from heart attacks and car accidents and all of those things, but that's not what we're talking about right now. And that's not what's literally ravaging my friend's family. Anyway, I got a request from somebody, and I thought it was really interesting. Somebody said, Jamie, your voice is so calming. Can you just come on and read to us? And I thought, well, I'm not Mother Goose, right? So I can't read you like fairy tales. I can read you sexy. Hickory dickory dock. This was sucking my, right? I'm more like Andrew Dice Clay. And I thought maybe I could sit out here and you could hear the birds and I could read you just the introduction from my book, The Southern Education of a Jersey Girl. It is one of the things I am most proud of in my career. And then we can check on the bird's nest and see if anything's happening over there. So exciting. All right. So I'm just going to read the introduction. I'm not going to sit here and read you the whole book. And I would like to read you this note. So please listen. In this book, I make some assumptions and generalizations about both the North and the South. I do this with full realization that generalizations are not always true. The North isn't all like Jersey. My Jersey isn't even all like Jersey. Just as the South isn't all like Alabama. And my Alabama definitely is not like all Alabama. This book is about my experience and contains my personal observations. I hope no one will take offense. None is intended. Narrator. People took offense. All right, here we go. Introduction. Loving the life that is. Okay, here we go. I hear Thursday's going to be bad in New York, my assistant told me. I hope you can make your flight. What, it might snow? I said, rolling my eyes. I'm not afraid of a little snow. Living in Alabama, I encounter a lot of snow ignorance. People in the South think snow is some kind of natural disaster. The mere mention of the word and everybody panics. Should we actually see a flurry? Cars slide off the road, school gets canceled, don't waste your time at the Piggly Wiggly, you can all but forget about bread and milk. I'm from Jersey, so I think this is a little ridiculous, because snow is no big deal. When you grow up with it, you learn to love it. But all that week, people kept mentioning it, or pulling up weather maps on their phone. Look at this weather moving in. There's no way you're getting to New York on Thursday. Oh, come on, I said over and over. I've seen this a million times. It's nothing. A week out, they say 8 inches of snow, and then it's 5, and then it's 3, and then you barely get a dusting. Besides, it's New York. I think they know how to handle a little cold weather. But the day before I was scheduled to leave, I got an email that my flight was canceled. Come on, are you kidding me, Delta? I called Delta and waited 47 minutes on hold. When I finally got a human being, I was Yankee insistent. I had no time for manners. My flight was canceled and I need to get to New York. I have 2 scheduled appearances. I do not have the option of a no-show. Just a little inside tip there. I was coming to New York and New Jersey that trip for a coffee talk event. For those of you who remember, I was coming to speak for 2 coffee talk events. So I couldn't not show up. There was 300 people at each event. Okay. The weather in New York is supposed to be really bad, the sympathetic Delta rep said with a warm Southern accent. Right now, we only have 2 flights still scheduled to go out of Atlanta. So much for my convenient nonstop flight, but Birmingham to Atlanta, Atlanta to New York was better than missing the Jersey Coffee Talk event 5 months in the making. I heard the tapping of her computer keys. It looks like we've already rebooked you on the later of the last 2 flights going out. No, put me on the earlier one. If the weather's really supposed to be as bad as they say, the later flight's not getting out. I can keep you in first class. You'll be on the first seat on the left side of the plane, he said. Perfect. Little did I know that seat would be turn out to be the scariest seat in the house. That morning, having already endured a cancellation, a rebooking, and a rebooking, I was on my way to the airport at 5:30 a.m. when I got a call from my kids' school, closed in anticipation of inclement weather. I never leave town when they close school, but I was hellbound for New York and I couldn't change my plans now, so I called my husband, Michael. Babe, school's canceled. All right, I won't go to Montgomery. I'll stay in Birmingham. My husband works for himself and just happened to have a flexible schedule that day. At the airport at last, I breathed a sigh of relief. Home and family secured, I was back to work. Only I wasn't. As I approached the security line, I realized I'd forgotten my driver's license. In all my years of flying, I've never forgotten my license. I was beginning to think that something was trying to keep me in Alabama. I went through some rigorous security checks, but because they seemed to know me from TV or because I travel every month, they let me through. When I got to the gate, I asked the gate agent, "Is my connection to Atlanta still on time?" As of now it is, but the weather in New York doesn't look so good. So I've heard, I mumbled. Sorry, there's all these text messages coming in. Okay. The flight to Atlanta was uneventful. I hadn't sat to shoot my coffee talk video for the day yet, so I recorded it in the Atlanta airport. Every morning I sit down with a cup of coffee and my iPhone and talk about something that's been on my mind. I decided to share my thoughts on how to say a proper goodbye to someone who's dying. I talked about my experience with my dad and what I wish I had done differently when he died. At the gate, there was a lot of buzz about whether the flight to LaGuardia would be canceled or not. But it remained on time. Still on time. Still on time. They boarded us, and suddenly, after all my dismissal of the situation, something about this flight made me uneasy. Before we took off, I went up to the flight attendants. I want you guys to have a safe flight. I gave them both hugs. When the captain stepped out of the cockpit to say something to the flight attendant, he heard me. We're going to be fine, he said. We're going to be great. Icy rain scares me, but snow doesn't scare me. It scares me, I said. After all my efforts to get here, I was second-guessing my cavalier attitude. Well, we're going to be fine, he said. Don't worry. Everything seemed to be going smoothly as we approached LaGuardia, but the clouds were very thick. There was no visibility. I heard the flight attendants whispering about how the pilot had asked for a holding pattern, but we hadn't been granted one. His voice filled the cabin. Well, folks, we thought we would be put in a stay, but it looks like they're bringing us in. So flight attendants, prepare the cabin for landing and expect it to be bumpy. Guys, let me just tell you a sidebar really quick. I have flown on a bajillion flights. Anytime a captain says it's going to be bumpy, it's going to be bumpy. Okay? Bumpy. Captains don't say that. As we came through the clouds, the distance to the runway was surprisingly short. We were almost on top of it, and it was covered in snow. There was nobody next to me, so I looked across the aisle at the man sitting there. We're not going to make it, I whispered. Then we hit the runway, and the pilot engaged the brakes, and nothing happened. There was no slowing down. The brakes didn't take. The wheels couldn't find anything to grip. You know how when you land, there's that rush of the engines in reverse thrust that pushes you forward in your seat? There was none of that. We were skidding and sliding, and in seconds I could tell we were off the runway, the plane bumping and jolting and still careening through the snow with no signs of slowing down. We were on the ground, but what would stop us? Then I saw the water, and it was coming right at us. Inside the plane, there was controlled panic, people wide-eyed gripping their armrests, some of them stricken and silent with fear, some of them crying out. We careened toward the water, nothing between us and the bay but a flimsy-looking safety fence that I knew wouldn't stop us. I could see that it couldn't stop us. My brain was going as fast as the plane. Do planes sink or float? If we hit the water, will the windows break? Will we drown in the icy bay? How fast will rescue get to us? Will I ever see my kids again? Do I need to call Michael and tell him? What? This is the end? My life literally flashed before my eyes. I saw it all, how every decision I had ever made led me to that plane. Then the left side of the plane hit a fence and we lost our wing. The power went out. We continued to slide. The plane slammed into a berm of earth built up between the runway and the Flushing Bay. It was the most powerfully jarring and abrupt physical sensation I had ever felt. The nose of the plane rode up on the berm, smashing through the fence at the top, and came to a stop hanging over the water. I looked out my window. The water, not yet frozen, lapped the snowy shore beneath me. If I could have opened the window and jumped out, I would have landed in it. If it hadn't been for that raised berm, we would all be in a very different situation. There was a moment of shocked silence, except for the woman behind me who was sobbing hysterically. I grabbed my phone and without really thinking about it, just wanting to share my experience and touch the people I cared about, I tweeted, "We just crash landed at LGA. I'm terrified. Please pray." I looked around me. Was it over? Was the plane about to explode? Were we safe or still in peril? The flight attendant got on a handheld bullhorn. "Is everyone okay? We have no power and the emergency slides didn't inflate, so we are all going to have to exit off the wing of the plane." The left wing was smashed. That left a damaged right wing, our only possible exit. The pilot stumbled out of the cockpit. We locked eyes and I could see he was terrified. It was then that I burst into tears. I couldn't hold it in anymore. I imagined him seeing that water coming at us 100 miles an hour. He must have been thinking, I have to save these people. He came over to me and put a hand on my shoulder. "You're okay," he said. "I'm going to get you off this plane." I was the last passenger off. As everyone filed towards the door and climbed out onto the wing, it was like a movie. There was fire, ice, snow falling, snow all over the ground, people crying. 28 people were injured in that crash, 5 taken to the hospital. Everyone survived. Once we were all off the plane, they put us on a shuttle to take us back to the terminal. As the shuttle took off, my phone rang. It was CNN wanting to know what happened. What? Anderson Cooper. How did you know? I mumbled. I saw your tweet, he said. I don't even remember how I answered. I hung up and sent another tweet. We have all been evacuated. Everyone is safe. Thank you for your prayers. God is good. As we filed into the terminal, I looked around me. It was surreal. Life was going on all around us despite our trauma. There we were, 127 people in shock, walking through an airport filled with people drinking in bars, eating in restaurants, talking on their phones, hammering away at their laptops. People acting much like I had just been acting hours before. They had no idea what had happened to us. I wanted to stop and scream, "Don't you realize that life can change in a minute?" But of course I couldn't do that. But I felt like my life had changed. For all these people on their way to somewhere else, it was still just business as usual. We were taken to a Delta Sky Lounge for processing. They brought us water and snacks as the EMTs checked everybody. We had to answer questions, deal with luggage, calm down. After 3 hours, those of us who didn't need medical care were deemed good to go. We were, at least physically, just fine. We were lucky. I was even luckier than some because my driver had arrived early and was patiently waiting to pick me up. Shortly after the plane careened off the runway, they closed the airport. No cars allowed in. Others had to spend the night, but I was able to get to my hotel. The roads were so bad on the way into the city, I could hardly sit still. I was jumpy, nervous, shell-shocked. I was not okay. Oh my God, George and Judy are coming to look for their nest. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Oh my God. Oh, fuck. I got to deal with that in a minute. My heart can't take it. There's too much going on. Okay. The next morning, I appeared on NBC's Today Show in the same clothes I had flown in because I still didn't have my luggage. People wanted to know what it was like, fascinated when the moment you realize this might be the end. They wanted to know what I was thinking, sending a tweet right in the middle of it all. My only answer was, and still is, that I wasn't thinking logically. It was an impulsive decision made out of fear. I wanted comfort for my community, connection to my friends. In that moment, I wasn't thinking of a blue check next to my name on Twitter and that every media outlet would pick it up. I was thinking of the 14 people who tweet me every day, wanting them to know, wanting them to tell me that I was going to be okay. Allison, that is hurtful. Fuck, Allison. Jesus. Over 50 media outlets contacted me during that first hour after the crash landing. It was a frenzy. I guess I shouldn't be surprised. I inadvertently chummed the shark-infested media waters. There were even a disturbing number of people in the Twitter universe who were offended that I said God is good. But you know what? He was, and he is. And I stand by that part of my tweet. God is good. Oh, okay, Allison. Oh, sorry, Knox. Jesus, everybody's on edge. Ah! Allison, I love you. I just scared the shit out of my dog. I'm sorry, bud. I gotta go find the birds. I'm so stressed out. Is it too early to drink? Mimosas, maybe? Okay, I can get through this. Let's get through this. Okay. Here we go. Sorry, I'm very, very, very jumpy. Allison, I love you too. I'm like so jumpy, forgive me. Okay. Here we go. When I finally got back to Birmingham, sent my plane crash outfit to the dry cleaners, and tried to get back to normal life, I was stuck for about a week, mentally and emotionally frozen in a state of suspended animation. Why did this happen to me? Faith is the most important thing in my life. I don't believe anything happens by accident. Such a near miss. There had to be a reason. In that moment, when all the events of my life flickered across my mind like scenes on a film, I recognized that I had been living in the past. I was chasing a life that was, a life I used to have, and stubbornly refusing to sink in and love the life I have right now, the life that is. I had lived in Alabama for 8 years, and for 8 years my heels had been dug in deep. I'd spent most of my time looking back over my shoulder, longing for New Jersey and my life up north, quipping about Southern eccentricities and putting Jersey on a pedestal. Not that Jersey doesn't deserve it. I love New Jersey, and I will always be a Jersey girl, but where I had been putting my energy and my focus? Into schemes for moving north, dragging my family along with me so I could what? Relive my past? It had to stop. I live in Alabama. There, I said it. I live here right now, and this is my life, and if I don't fall in love with who I am here and where I am now and everything about the life I am living in this precious present moment, I have nothing. Life can be taken away so easily. You can lose it all in an instant. If you don't love it now, when will you start? When it's too late? This is my peace offering. This book I've been writing will be my love song to the South. This book is the story of my journey and why I love where I came from, but how I learned to love where I am right here, right now. Because I do love it, and I have loved it, bit by bit, a little more each day for years now. I just didn't want to admit it. There is so much to love about the South. Sometimes it still seems strange to me. I don't always understand the customs, the language, the traditions, or the priorities. But I always understand that the South is filled with faith and hope and love, and that is what I want to be filled with too. So here it is, my take on life below the Mason-Dixon line. The Southern education of this Jersey girl. I hope you will join me in reaching across the border that divides us to help create greater unity. Because in the end, in that final moment when you don't know whether you will live or die, what really matters? Faith, hope, and love. And the greatest of these is love. That is the introduction to my book,
I have a question about
The Southern Education of a Jersey Girl. I can read to you guys if you want to hear me read. I'm happy to do that for a while. Child, seriously, give me one. Okay, give me 1 second, Charlie. I've been doing coffee talk since you were 3.5 years old. This isn't new for you, baby. Give me a second, okay? I forgot how emotional the introduction was, and but I'm happy to read. You can also order a copy of this book on Amazon and then leave the package on your front porch for 24 hours to make sure that you don't touch the package until it's been defunctified. You can also order the audio book online and listen to me read this book. You can put it in your ears and walk. I appreciate any support, obviously. And I think I'm going to do some giveaways. I have some copies of the book. I'll sign some and mail them out when all is well. But I'm happy to read to you guys if you want to hear, because it's a great book, and I think you'll appreciate it. And if you're not bored of my voice, then I'll read to you. So really quick, George and Judy came to check on their nest. Let me make sure my husband is social distancing, because I will kick the shit out of him if he's not. Michael, social distancing.
You named them George and Judy.
The birds.
Mom, I have a question about
1 second. Michael!
social distancing.
Now he has to wash his hands.
Okay,
No. You don't do anything. It's your job to make sure your father goes and washes his hands. Then I'll answer any questions you have. Hold on. Social distancing. You don't need to be that close to that man to hear what he has to say, babe. Please. You're going to give me a freaking heart attack. Wash your hands. My husband hates me. He really wants a divorce. I'm not kidding. Oh my God, there's 2 bees. Hold on, let's check the nest really quick. They didn't find it yet, but they will. I'm staying optimistic. All right, anyway. Sorry, my husband really wants a divorce. He hates me. You guys want me to read to you at night? I can read to you at night and do regular coffee talk in the morning. Anyway, maybe I'll write another book. I love you very much. Thank you to everybody who supports the book. It sold 20,000 copies. You guys are amazing, amazing. And I can read to you at night. Maybe some nights I could do that when I'm not exhausted. But I love you so much today. And maybe share this video. Maybe somebody needs to hear it. That would be awesome. Please share it. I love you so much. Have a great, great day.